Alright, so the Philadelphia Eagles have somehow pulled off the unthinkable as Vic Fangio has managed to turn the Eagles defense into an absolutely dominant unit and possibly one of the best Birds defenses that we've ever seen, which seemed pretty impossible before the season began. So just how good has this Eagles defense been, and how did Vic Fangio help turn it around? Meanwhile, Lane Johnson just sent a message to the team ahead of their upcoming tough stretch that is going to be absolutely crucial, and some recent big news in the NFC East has the Saquon Barkley signing looking even worse for the Giants and better for the Eagles. So we're going to talk about that and all the other latest Eagles news starting right now. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles. And right now, the Birds are currently preparing for a matchup against an LA Rams team that has won 4 of its past 5 games, but even so, they're still probably feeling pretty good about their current situation, as of course, the Eagles are on a 6-game win streak, and they are favored in this game by 3 points going on the road in LA, which honestly should really not be a surprise, just considering the fact that the Eagles have always seemed to play the Rams well in recent history, and also due to Philly fans consistently taking over LA Stadium every time that they play each other, which included the last time that these two teams met, which was just last season in Week 5, where the Birds won 23-14, and obviously they're going to be hoping for a similar or a better result this time around. But one thing that will certainly be very different about the matchup from the last time that these two teams played is the absence of Aaron Donald from the Rams defensive line, as the future Hall of Famer has obviously retired, so that definitely makes preparing to face the Rams defensive line a little easier this time around, but that doesn't mean that they aren't a challenge, as they're still ranked 11th in sacks per game this year, and they have some talent with guys like Byron Young, Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, and Jared Verse, just to name a few. So even without Aaron Donald, the Birds definitely cannot take this matchup lightly. Nick Sirianni and Kellen pretty much echoed this same thing in recent press conferences.
They still have really good players. Any good player keeps you up, Olivia. Any good player keeps you up. And not that I'm sad that Aaron Donald is not going to be there, but like they got a good defensive line. Chris is doing a great job of lead, and Sean are doing a good job of leading that defense, and they're playing well. It's a good football team. We're going to have a challenge this weekend.
You know, I think they've done an excellent job of kind of evolving this year, building off of the scheme that they've had in place for a number of years. Credit to them, you know, as Aaron has left and they've transitioned into a little bit of a different structure just because what they have on defense line, I think they have, you know, a really, really talented defense line. You know, a bunch of young guys that are playing extremely well, high level. They give you a lot of different looks, a lot of different presentations, which can be challenging throughout the week just as you get comfortable anticipating going against these guys. And so I think these guys are playing really, really good football right now. They've been playing really well coming out of their bye week. You can tell they took advantage of a bye week, and they're playing as well as anyone.
Hopefully, this Eagles offensive line will be able to shut down the Rams pass rush this week that, again, even without Aaron Donald, is still very talented. And side note, this also, of course, marks the first time that the Eagles will face the Rams since Jason Kelce's retirement, but the thing is, they really haven't seen that much of a fall off in production from the center position, because even though Jason Kelce was obviously great and one of the best Eagles of all time, Cam Jurgens has really stepped right into that starting center spot, and he's been really, really good. I mean, he has a similar skill set to Kelce in terms of his ability to get out into space in the run game and lead block, and he's already had a couple of ridiculous highlights this year, and his numbers continue to look good too, as just this last week he was tied with Lane Johnson as the 8th highest graded offensive lineman in Week 11, so safe to say the Eagles found a great replacement at center in Beef Jerky. And just overall on the offensive line, the Eagles are playing amazing right now, as they had 4 of the highest graded 8 offensive linemen in the NFL this past week, with of course Cam and Lane tied at 8th, and also Jordan Mailata ranked 5th, and Landon Dickerson ranked 2nd. So just shout out to the offensive line and Stoutland University for being consistently great year in and year out, and for really being the key group that makes the Eagles offense go. And obviously, the elite play of the offensive line also has a lot to do with why Saquon Barkley is putting up phenomenal numbers, as that signing just continues to look better and better for the Eagles, while on the other hand, it continues to look worse and worse for the Giants. And that's especially true after they just finally benched Daniel Jones in favor of the second-year man Tommy DeVito, which pretty much guarantees the end of the Danny Dimes era in New York. And honestly, I mean, this kind of does stink for Eagles fans because no offense to Daniel Jones, but he's just not good enough to be a franchise quarterback. I think we've all known that for a while, and the longer he stayed the QB for the Giants, the better it was for the Eagles. But I mean, it was fun while it lasted, and this benching still is a win for Eagles fans in the sense that it makes the Giants look even worse for letting go of Saquon Barkley, since they of course opted to pay Daniel Jones a huge contract extension of $40 million per season rather than paying Barkley, and also because part of the reasoning that Giants GM Joe Schoen gave for letting Saquon walk talk was so that they could fully give the reins to Danny Dimes. So the fact that they have now benched him after week 11 definitely is not a good look. And of course, with Barkley playing as well as he has in his first season in Philly, that only makes them look worse as well. And honestly, I mean, Barkley really has just been unbelievable to start his Eagles career, as after his first 10 games in Philly, he is currently on pace to have his best season yet, and he's ranked second in the NFL in rushing just behind Derrick Henry, and that's with Henry having played one more game than him since the Ravens haven't had their bye week yet. So Saquon Barkley could very well be the NFL's leading rusher when the season is all said and done, and that's not really surprising because he's just been on another planet this season, and Darius seems to think so too, as in a recent mic'd up clip, he gave Barkley a pretty fitting nickname.
That's Superman! That's Superman! Best in the league! That's the best in the league! That's that Superman! Ah!
I honestly think that Superman is the perfect nickname for Barkley just based on what he's been doing this year, because again, I mean, he's just been doing things that are completely superhuman. And I mean, it's clear just how big of a difference maker that he's been for this Eagles offense, so much so that his name has even been thrown around as a possible MVP candidate among fans and media members this week. And even though that obviously is not going to happen just because they're not going to give a running back MVP, Barkley is at least set to be rewarded a little bit extra financially for his impressive season, as he's got a bunch of incentives in his contract that he looks to be on pace to hit, starting with a $250,000 bonus for hitting 1,500 scrimmage yards, which he is just 153 total yards shy of. And then on top of that, he also could earn another $250,000 for hitting 2,000 total yards, making second team All-Pro, a Pro Bowl, and also if the Eagles win the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl. And he could also earn an extra $500K if he makes first team All-Pro. And the crazy thing is, all those incentives are very much within reach, and also, Barkley's agent deserves a bunch of credit for not having any of the incentives be touchdown related, since we knew that Barkley would miss out on a few scores just due to the brotherly shove being a thing. And just overall, it is truly amazing just the kind of season that Barkley is having, and he and the Eagles offense really have just found their groove since the bye week. And again, I mean, really this whole team has just found their rhythm since the break back in week 5, and now the vibes have just been unbelievable, and they've been very reminiscent of both the 2017 and 2022 teams that went to the Super Bowl. But we all know after how things went last year that just because the team is winning and everything seems to be going well, especially at this point in the season, that doesn't mean it'll stay that way. So the Eagles got to make sure they stay locked in and focused as they head into the stretch run of the season, and Lane Johnson knows the importance of that, and he recently called out his teammates just to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And don't worry, we're going to get into that and more in just a minute, but real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and you don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this coming throughout the rest of this entire season, then make sure you subscribe and also really importantly turn on notifications so you are notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. Trust me, you guys are not going to want to miss any of the Eagles coverage I got coming on this channel. I cover the Birds pretty much daily here, so if you do want to stay up to date on all the latest Eagles news, this is the spot. So again, subscribe and hit the notification bell, and also drop a like to show some support while you're at it. Let's see if we can get to 600 likes today. And now, with all that being said, let's get back into the video. So as I was saying, obviously, the Eagles are 8-2, they're on a 6-game winning streak, and they've looked really good in that stretch, and they're just continuing to get better. That being said, though, they cannot afford to get complacent, especially after the collapse that they had last year. And Lane Johnson is doing his best to make sure that they learn from that so that they don't make the same mistakes, as he sent a message to the team saying, quote, "As good as things are going, I want people to remember last year. You get to 10-1 and get that complacency feeling, and you find out quickly this league will knock you on your butt if you let it." So I absolutely love that mentality from Lane, and I love that he's been preaching that message in the locker room, and hopefully the Eagles all adopt that mindset and just stay locked in and continue to dominate throughout the rest of the season. And when I say dominate, I mean I truly mean that, especially on the defensive side of the ball, as this defense has just been on a completely different level ever since the bye week, and they look like the best defense in the NFL under the leadership of old school defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. And now on the season, Fangio has this defense ranked first in yards per game allowed, first in defensive grade, third in opponent offensive success, third in points per game, and sixth in EPA. And that's just insane, especially after how they looked through the first 4 games of this season, and that should tell you just how ridiculously dominant they've been ever since. And again, Vic Fangio deserves all the credit in the world for making adjustments and getting this thing turned around, which, judging by some comments from Nick Sirianni, can probably just be chalked up to Fangio's insane work ethic and desire to get things right.
Yeah, just again, his tireless work ethic. I think I've probably always, with him being as good of a coach as he's been in this league for this long, I think I probably would have been able to guess that he works his butt off, but he's always looking for looking at tape, watching tape, looking for new ways to do things, better ways to do what he already does, and just to really admire his work ethic and how he goes about work every single day.
Shout out to Vic Fangio for just working hard and doing everything possible to get this defense fixed and playing the way it is right now. And again, he really just does deserve so much credit for the defensive turnaround the Eagles have seen this season. I mean, I showed you the numbers from this year so far, but when compared to last year's numbers, they're even more astounding, as in 2023, the Eagles ranked 26th in yards per game allowed, 14th in defensive grade, 27th in offensive success, 29th in points per game, and 29th in EPA. So that should show you just how big of a difference Fangio's scheme and coaching have made, as he has just gotten more and more out of his players as the weeks have gone on, and they've just gotten more and more comfortable in the scheme. And also, Howie Roseman deserves a ton of credit too for bringing in some of these new guys like Quinyon Mitchell, Zack Baun, Cooper DeJean that are contributing at a very high level. And overall, it's honestly just insane how the Eagles were able to turn it around on defense this year. Like, think about where they were last year and what the conversations were like surrounding this defense heading into this season. Like, no one thought they were going to be this good, yet they're the best defense in football through 11 weeks, and they just continue to get better. And hopefully, the defense can find a way to shut down what can be a very challenging and productive Rams offense on Sunday night. And you guys already know I'm going to be covering all the news leading into that matchup, so again, if you don't want to miss any of that, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. And also, again, while you're at it, make sure you hit the like button as well. It really does help me out a ton. Again, let's see if we can get to 600 likes today. And also, leave a comment down below just regarding anything that I talked about in this video. How much of an impact do you think Vic Fangio has really had on this defense? And also, if you want to watch another Eagles video, you can check this one out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.